Spain is exciting, England is boring, France is unconvincing, and Austria is surprising. Very unexpected things are happening in the Euro 2024, and the group stage is offering us a glimpse of things to come. Buckle up for a very lopsided but still very promising knockout stage. Let's dive right in. Let's talk about some of the standout teams of the group stage. Spain has been the most impressive team of Euro 2024 so far. They have defeated all of their opponents, but most importantly, they have controlled all of their games from the beginning to the end. They have scored 5 goals, probably should have scored more, particularly against Italy, and conceded none. Spain is still a great possession team. They're capable of controlling the game, but this time they're also capable of upping the tempos of the game whenever they feel that it is necessary. Their wingers, Nico Williams and Lamine Yamal, are absolutely electric, and they're capable of deciding any episode and solving the opposition defense, and they absolutely have the skill to do that. If we have to find any weakness in the Spanish team, we probably have to dig deeper, but to name a few, I'm still not entirely convinced with Unai Simon. I'll probably never be. I think he's mistake prone. He's done mistakes in this tournament as well, in the first game against Croatia. And another weakness, probably their finishing. I think there's room for improvement there, since Spain is creating so many chances, and they actually had to wait for an own goal by Italy to win the game despite dominating the game. In a nutshell, I cannot help but feel the shades of Euro 2008 when watching this Spanish team. Dangerous, direct and exciting. All the possession has its purpose. No sterility on the ball, no boringness whatsoever. Spain has been the best team of Euro 2024 group stage. Germany was perfect against Scotland, good against Hungary, but had trouble against Switzerland, their toughest opponent in their group. But they still managed to come back with a last-minute goal, which is an indicator of this team's resilience and important factor in tournaments like the European Championship. I think Germany's main strengths are in possession and in attack. Their attacking group is very energetic. They're constantly making runs into the box, and they're creating many chances out of this, particularly İlkay Gündoğan. I felt like he had many chances to score in the group stage. Their main creators, Toni Kroos, Florian Wirtz and Jamal Musiala, overall I think they've had a good group stage. They have scored 8 goals. Germany has created second most attacks in the group stage among all the teams in the Euro 2024. But I keep asking myself whether playing Niklas Füllkrug for Havertz as a real number 9, not as a false 9, as a real number 9, would add more power and more directness and more goal-scoring threat and finishing to this German team. Also, Germany is the host of the tournament. It may not seem like much, but being a host always gives you that small, ever so slight but intangible advantage over the other teams. I feel like Germany's main risk is their high defensive line, but this is the team that Julian Nagelsmann wants to see. This is the way they want to play, and if they can find a way to minimize this risk, I think Germany can go all the way in Euro 2024. So in a nutshell, Germany is fast, strong and direct, and they have confirmed their status as favorites of this tournament. But the same thing cannot be said about France. They've scored only 2 goals in the group stage. One was an own goal, the other one was scored from a penalty. They even failed to beat Poland to reach the easier side of the bracket. But not all hope is lost for this French team, because this is not the first time that this generation of France has had a rather poor start to the tournament. For instance, in 2016, their group stage was rather unconvincing, but they still managed to reach the final of the Euros. The same thing has happened to other champions or finalists of major tournaments. For instance, in 2010, Spain lost its opening match. In 2022 World Cup, Argentina famously lost its opening match against Saudi Arabia. In 2016, Portugal drew all of its group games to go on and win the Euro 2016. The strengths and advantages of this French team are obvious. They have a proven winner mentality, they have wealth of experience, they have Kylian Mbappe, but they also have Dayot Upamecano, who has had many mistakes this season. He's not a starter for Bayern Munich, but he's starting for this French team and gave up a penalty against Poland in the previous game. The fitness of Kylian Mbappe is also a question. it is quite known that playing with a mask is not an ideal scenario for a striker. Also, France needs to find a way to start converting its chances. It hasn't been able to do so until now in the Euro 2024. So in a nutshell, France has been unconvincing, but I'm still not ready to give up on this team because of all the history of success that this generation has had. England is so boring. I mean, so boring. They've been unconvincing in attack. They don't have any clear plan of how they want to attack, how they want to create chances, and how they want to score. When I was watching the game against Slovenia, at one point I felt like this game can go on for another 90 minutes and England still would fail to score. Hell, they would even fail to create chances. They look disjointed in attack, completely uninspired, devoid of ideas, and I will say it once again, I don't see a clear plan of how they plan to score. Southgate's team has been the most disappointing team of the Euro 2024 so far, given their status as favorites. The only positive this team can get out of this tournament so far, that they have been solid in defense. They've actually been quite good in defense. They don't really concede chances either, and they're very lucky to get to the easier side of the bracket. In a nutshell, I cannot say this enough. England is boring. Complete lack of ideas, utter lack of creativity. England needs to do better, and they need to do it fast. Austria has given us so much joy with their brave and energetic display against favorites. I mean, do not get me wrong, they have good players. They have Marcel Sabitzer, they have Konrad Laimer and few others, but make no mistake, there are many other better teams on paper than Austria, but Ralf Rangnick has properly transformed them into a threat, and now they've given themselves a chance to go far in Euro 2024. Their main strengths are their defensive solidity and good stifling pressing. They are #1 team in the group stage in ball recoveries. They're also very good in front of goal. They've created 3.95 expected goals and have scored 6 actual goals in the group stage, and normally overperformance of your XG correlates well with doing good in major tournaments like this. Still, I think Austria lacks this pedigree of big tournaments, their squad, their players, in terms of their history, and this may work against them in terms of experience and in terms of being ready to tough moments of tournament football in the knockout stage. In a nutshell, Austria is good, even better than most expected. A true underdog story is shaping in this Euros. Portugal is puzzling. On one hand, they topped their group, but on the other hand, they needed a last-minute goal to defeat Czechia, and they lost to Georgia in their last game, very surprisingly. But still, the strengths of these teams are clear and apparent. They have a very deep and talented squad, great players in all positions. They have attempted most attacks in the group stage, but they've also attempted most crosses, which may mean two things. One, it may be a deliberate strategy to send in crosses, since they have Ronaldo, and when you have a player like Cristiano, a great header of the ball, you may be tempted to use this as your main source of attack, main source of creation of chances. But on the other hand, it just may mean that you don't really know how else to attack, and it may really sound baffling, but at times I felt like Portugal has lacked a bit of creativity in terms of how they want to create chances. So in a nutshell, Portugal is good, but not good enough, but they're still among the top favorites of the tournament. Now I want to talk about the trends and patterns that I've observed so far in the Euros. The first thing that comes to mind is that every team has come here to play. Before the tournament, I gave no chance to Slovakia or to Georgia in terms of progressing to the knockout stage, but they did now in the round of 16. Well done by them. Every single team has collected at least a point. The only truly lopsided game was Germany beating Scotland in the opening game. Only one team, Spain, has collected all 9 points in the group stage. I think it means that the gulf between the major historic traditional footballing powers like Germany and others and the other teams, the so-called smaller teams, is gotten extremely small. Everyone can play everyone, and that is why we can still be up for some more upsets in the knockout stage. Having said that, how many truly surprising results have we got so far? And I don't mean separate matches. In separate matches, there have been very surprising results. I mean, Georgia beat Portugal, Slovakia beat Belgium, and there are several other matches that we can mention. I mean, the progression to the knockout stage. In that sense, we had really just two major upsets. Austria coming first in their very tough group, and Georgia going through to the knockout stage to the round of 16. The way the current format works, it just takes away from some of the excitement, because it makes it nearly impossible for favorites to miss out on the knockout stage. You just need really 3 points to go through, and you just need 3 points and a decent goal difference. Some of the favorites have had a lot of trouble scoring. France, England, two of the main favorites, and Belgium, they've scored only 2 goals in the group stage. Italy has scored only 3, although at this point it may be a stretch calling them a favorite. In general, after a very promising and goal-scoring match day 1, the things went downhill a bit. Particularly the Group C of England has been very bad in terms of goal scoring, only 7 goals in 6 matches. So the average of the group stage so far has been 2.25 goals per game, which is lower than the average of the Euro 2020, which was at 2.61, and the average of the 2 last World Cups. So in that sense, I hope for a more high-scoring games in the knockout stage. On top of that, I don't think that we've witnessed any massively exciting games which also had a lot of football quality at the same time. I mean, 3 games have stood out for me personally. The first one is Austria versus the Netherlands. Very good game, I think. 5 goals, real implications for the knockout stage, a lot of intrigue until the end, and I think the game has quite a decent quality. The other game is Turkey versus Georgia. End-to-end stuff, raw kind of football. Very exciting, a lot of goals, and the result of the game was not clear until the end, so I like this game a lot. And the last one is Croatia versus Italy. I mean, the game did not really have a lot of quality, particularly the first half was quite boring, but the way Italy ended the international career, probably ended the international career of great Luka Modric, just shows once again how cruel the tournament football may be. But if you think about how we're going to remember these games in 10-20 years time, I don't think that we've witnessed any true footballing classic yet, and I'm hoping that the knockout stage is going to give us a few of such games. For me, the best goal of the tournament was Arda Güler's beautiful strike against Georgia. Beautiful curler. Everything about this shot is perfect. There were a lot of other screamers, beautiful long-range strikes, but the thing that stood out for me, for the life of me, I cannot remember a single beautiful combination goal in the tournament so far. And I think this just speaks about the nature of the international football at this point. The national teams do not really have that much time together to properly gel, to create intricate passing patterns and so on. So a lot ends up depending on the individual quality of players, and we've seen very much of that on display in the group stage. Check out my short videos for what I think the best goals and the best saves of the group stage of Euro 2024. And finally, let's look at the games coming up in the round of 16. The bracket is extremely lopsided. On one side we have Spain, Germany, France and Portugal, probably 4 main favorites of the Euros at this point. If all 4 of them win their games, we're up for a proper treat. Spain versus Germany and Portugal versus France quarters. The other side has England, the Netherlands and Austria as the main notable teams. That is the weirdness of this format. Netherlands gets rewarded with a perfect draw for finishing 3rd in its group. England's or the Netherlands' path to the final also seem much easier. But on the other hand, maybe we're up for surprise finalists from this side. Maybe Austria or Turkey or Switzerland can surprise us by becoming finalists for the first time in their history. For now, we have at least 4 very interesting games in the round of 16. I'm looking forward to Switzerland, Italy, Austria, Turkey, Germany, Denmark and France, Belgium. 4 games which have a high potential for intrigue and excitement. Let me know in the comments which team has you liked so far, which team has surprised you the most so far. Who are you rooting for at this point, and who do you want to see in the final? Consider subscribing to Football On Side to help this channel grow and to get all the football content you need, and hit that bell button to be informed about our future videos. Take care and enjoy the start of the knockout stage.